Army Hearties! Disney Dave coming at you once again from Down Under with another Blu-ray coming at you once again with another Blu-ray unboxing and review. That's what I'm trying to say. As you can probably tell from that awful voice that I just did there. Today we are reviewing and unboxing the brand new Pirates of the Caribbean movie. Of course, Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales in the US, Australia, and a couple other countries, and Pirates of the Caribbean, Salazar's Revenge in the UK and a whole bunch of other countries as well. We are not just going to be taking a look at one release of this, we are actually going to be taking a look at two. It's taken me a little while to get this video up. I know these were released a little while ago, so I decided to sort of bunch both of these releases into one video. Today we are, of course, taking a look at the Dead Men Tell No Tales 4K release from the USA and the Salazar's Revenge 3D release from the UK. These are both really nice editions of the movie. As you can see, they're both in really shiny slipcovers, which, you know, I really love. These are both really nice editions of the film. So what we're going to do is we're going to open them up, do an unboxing. I'll show you what you get inside here. I'll talk about the contents and everything. And then at the end, I'll do a little quick review of both of them and sort of tell you which version you should get, if not both. Okay, let's cut into that right now. Okay, so here we have the two special edition versions of Pirates of the Caribbean #5. Of course, we've got the 4K edition over here and the 3D edition over here. But first up, let's have a look at the 4K edition. So as I said, this is the 4K edition from the United States. I like to import these because, of course, I love the slipcovers, and all of my other previous Pirates discs have the slips, and I'll show you them at the end of the video as well. So I'm very excited about opening this one up right here. I love the slipcover on this. It's really nice and shiny. Disney are really sort of putting a little bit of effort into their 4K slipcovers. I'm guessing they're trying to make them look really tempting, really shiny. They know people like shiny things. It's a good way to catch the eye. I like a little sort of hollow shimmer sort of thing in the background there. Some really nice colors and stuff. There's a bit of embossing on here, but not a whole lot, just on some of the key points of the slip there and on the title. Get a nice little close-up look there. We'll try and catch some light there so you can see a little bit of the embossing on there. It's actually quite a fair bit of it, to be fair, sort of on the, as I said, the key points of this slipcover. And that little shimmer there, that little holographic sort of rainbow effect, really nice. And as I said, Dead Men Tell No Tales right down here. This whole thing is nice and shiny and nice and embossed. And this here is a sticker. Sometimes these HDR things are actually printed on the slip or on the cover, and it sort of annoys me a little bit. But that's a sticker. As you know, I like to take the stickers off my slip covers and I put them on the disc, so I'll get around to doing that very soon. Really nice. I'm really impressed with this. The past two 4K slips they've done have been really nice. This and Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Let's move on to the back cover of this. Now this is sort of Disney's new layout for their 4K discs. It seems that every generation of disc they sort of have a different little layout for the back, and that's pretty cool. I think that this is probably the most streamlined, most simple sort of design they've ever had. I kind of like it. I really like it. Everything's sort of laid out nice and neat and just beautiful. So we've got two discs in here, of course. We have the 4K HD disc, and of course the standard 2D disc on there as well. Both discs have the film on them. The 4K disc doesn't have any special features on there. The standard Blu-ray is what has all the features on there. We'll quickly go over all of them. On here we have got Dead Men Tell More Tales, The Making of a New Adventure. This is a 7-part featurette. This special feature goes for just under an hour. Look, it's not the best. It's split into 7 parts. It's sort of a lot of fluff. It's a lot of sort of interviews with the cast and a little bit of just a discussion on what it's like for the cast and crew to return to the franchise, and just all these kind of fluffy little featurette things that are sort of stitched together to sort of try and make up a 7-part featurette. My favorite part of the past Pirates of the Caribbean sets were the making of documentaries. The earliest films, 1, 2, and 3, they had these great 2-3-hour documentaries chronicling the making of the movie from beginning to end. Really in-depth, amazing special features. They're probably some of my favorite Blu-ray documentaries ever released. But they sort of, between this movie and the 4th installment of Pirates of the Caribbean, they really sort of dropped the ball. I really would have liked to have seen something that was a bit more in-depth, a little less fluffier, but that's sort of what we're just used to getting with Disney releases these days, sadly. We also have one called Bloopers of the Caribbean, which is a 3-minute blooper reel. We also have a Jerry Bruckheimer photo diary, which is like 2 minutes worth of still photos and stuff, and then we get 3 minutes of deleted scenes. When it comes to special features, this is a really bare bones sort of release. The hours worth of making of documentary is welcome, but it would have been nice to get something a little bit more in depth and something a little bit less fluffier. Just taking a quick look here, we've got that nice holographic, shiny, sort of rainbow effect sort of thing on the back there too. It covers right across the disc. So let's crank this disc out of the slipcover over here. And there we go, as Disney always do, the cover on the inside, the cover on the actual disc itself is exactly the same as the slipcover there. Back covers are exactly the same as well, just a little bit of reformatting on there. Let's get this slipcover out of here and let's crack this open and have a look at what we got on the inside. The nice thing that we get with Disney 4K discs is you actually get a nice picture on the disc, which is something that, you know, just sort of riles me with Disney. That when they first started doing Blu-rays, there were beautiful pictures on their discs. They put some really nice effort into the presentation of their sets, and then all of a sudden they started doing this, which is a blue disc and white text. And it always just bugged me that they just stopped putting this effort into the presentation. So it's nice to see that, well, with these first few releases of 4K discs anyway, there's some cover art on the disc there, which is just nice. It's a nice little touch. Also in here, we of course get our digital code. This is one of these great sort of digital code things where you take it out and then you peel this up and you've got your code underneath there. I like it. It's nice and simple, but there is some effort to make it look like a nice presentation, which I like with these 4K sets right here. Now we're going to have the briefest of looks at the 3D set from the United Kingdom. Now, of course, Disney doesn't like releasing 3D in the States. They haven't done for many, many years, with the exception of 1 or 2 titles. Strangely enough, this movie didn't even get a 3D release in Australia, which is so odd because we usually do get the 3D releases over here in Australia. I have a feeling it might have something to do with the name Salazar's Revenge. Maybe they only had one 3D master of the film or something and it had Salazar's Revenge on it. I don't know, but for some reason we didn't get one over here. So again, I imported, as I always do anyway, because I like my slipcovers. And this has a fairly decent slip. It uses the same cover art as the 4K disc, which is a little bit disappointing for me because I always like it when the 4K and the 3D, or the 2D and the 3D sort of had different cover art. It just makes it feel like you've sort of bought a different product, but at the end of the day, it's not a huge deal. So that's a fairly decent slipcover. It's kind of shimmery. It doesn't have that same effect as the US one does, and none of this is embossed at all. It's just flat and shimmery, shiny. It's kind of nice, but it's certainly not to the same level as the US slip. We'll give you a close-up look at that. It's nice and reflective and shiny, but it just doesn't have that same sort of attention to detail put into it. But it's still a really, really lovely slipcover there. The back cover of this one is pretty much the same as the one from the 4K. The design is pretty much the same pictures and stuff. It's just got just slightly rearranged, just a little bit. The color palette's a little bit different and everything about that. But this is the standard sort of UK design. This is the standard 4K US design now. So that's sort of expected. But it's interesting to just sort of note the differences between the two. Let's crank this open here and let's have a look what the UK set has to offer. That's really nice. The UK gets it right again with some nice cover art. They always put some disc art on their 3D discs, but then again with the disc we just get this standard blue and sort of like a see-through silver writing on there, which again is really lazy, but at least it feels like you got some sort of effort in here. I should say special features and everything on this release are exactly the same. This is exactly the same 2D disc. Okay, so these here are my previous 4 Pirates of the Caribbean sets. This is the 3D set from the US, which had this nice lenticular slipcover when it first came out. Really beautiful. Now, I know that people like to do this. I know I've seen a lot of people asking this on other videos on forums and stuff. So we're gonna have a look at what they sort of all looked up lined together. Now, we'll add this here. This is the US 4K edition to the US set. Look, it kind of complements it quite well, but the one thing that disappoints me a little bit is they've sort of dropped the ball on the design. You know, I really love consistency, and when studios and designers put in the effort to make a series of films look consistent, the covers on each of the discs look consistent, they've sort of dropped the ball when it comes to this. All of these have this beautiful, beautiful sort of title here. It's got the scroll in the background, exactly the same. It's got the title, and it's got these characters up the top, see? And then down the bottom you get sort of like a little scene from the film. They really dropped the ball with this one because you've just got big character faces, you've got the title down the bottom, no scroll or anything. It sort of breaks it up a little bit, but look, at the end of the day, it's one of those things. The movies are so many years apart that It wouldn't hurt just to be able to go and just make them consistent a little bit, but I suppose not too many people care about it. It's just the pedantic ones of us. And if we want to take a look at the 3D set from the UK lined up against them all, there you go. Sort of looks, it looks a little better because you've got at least you've got a border on that one, which is quite similar to the other ones, but again, the consistency is sort of broken up. Now let's take a look at the spines. I know a lot of collectors like this as well to make sure their spines all line up, but let me tell you, they don't really. So there's the first four, of course. The thing that bugs me about these ones is that number 2 and 3 have 2 and 3 on there. 1 and 4 don't have a number. Don't know what they were thinking with that. So already, sort of the consistency was broken up there. Let's add the 4K disc to this. It looks quite nice, it does line up quite well. I mean, the text is sort of all over the place here anyway, so that's not a huge issue. Got a nice little picture of Jack Sparrow down the bottom, which lines up with all of these ones here. So it actually looks quite nice, quite concise when they're all lined up together. And then here's what it looks like if you line the UK set up with the other ones. It looks a little bit more jarring to the eye. The text looks way out of the place. Of course, Jack Sparrow up here, because we've got these ugly ratings logos down the bottom, he gets bumped up the top. Doesn't look that great lined up, but again, not a lot of people care about this, but there are pedantic ones among us that do care about this and just want to get a good idea of what that looks like. So anyway, they're the two releases right there, the 4K edition from the US and the 3D edition from the UK, a little bit of a comparison and whatever there. So we're going to do a quick wrap up of this video, and I'm just going to talk very, very quickly about the benefits of either disc, about which experience you should probably opt for if you only want one disc. So we'll quickly go and do a quick review on that before we close off this video.
And once again, they be the two different versions of Pirates of the Caribbean, Dead Men Tell No Tales, or Salazar's Revenge. Let's talk a little bit about the 4K release at first. This is Disney's second 4K release, but technically it's their first Disney branded 4K release, as the first one was Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. You're probably wondering, is it worth paying the extra $5 or $10 to pick up the 4K disc? What's Disney like in the 4K market? Well, pardon the pun, but I think Disney is still sort of treading the waters at the moment when it comes to 4K, just to sort of see how the format goes, very, very slowly, and I'd imagine it would be some time before we see any kind of catalog releases from Disney, like even the first 4 Pirates of the Caribbean movies. I don't see hitting 4K anytime real soon. So, has it been worth the wait for Disney and 4K? I would have to say, yes. I mean, it's nice to own these movies in 4K. Are these the best presentations, or specifically Pirates of the Caribbean 5? Is it the best, most mind-blowing experience you've ever had in your life? No. Is it a nice uptick on the standard 1080 Blu-ray? Yes. Okay, so this movie isn't incredibly colourful. It's not a very colourful movie. So HDR, which is basically a form of colour grading to make the movie look big, bombastic, colourful, lots of colours popping out at your face on a 4K panel. HDR comes into play really nicely in this movie. As I said, it's not very colourful at all, but where there are colours, the colours are really beautiful, really rich, and really natural. The most colour you really get is blue. So a lot of the scenes where they're sailing in the ships, in the water is crystal clear blue. The sky is a really nice blue as well. It's really beautiful, really punchy, but it's not an overblown transfer. It's not something that's going to pop out of your screen, say like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. The colours just aren't there in the same way, but where there are colours, the colours are really, really gorgeous, and certainly an uptick over the standard Blu-ray. Blacks are really nice. When there are blacks, there are deep blacks, and there's a lot of blacks in this movie. And shadow tones and everything are really, really nice, really beautiful. When we talk about the clarity, the picture clarity is really, for a movie like this, the real reason to sort of go for the higher quality 4K disc is for the picture clarity. As I said, there's not a lot of colours, so why would you upgrade to get a more colourful experience? You're really upgrading for that uptick in clarity. This movie is crystal clear. Once again, I'll use water as an example. The water is just beautiful, and it moves in ways that you're not used to seeing water move on the screen. So many little specks of light just bursting off the water, and it's stunning. Even like hair follicles and things on the actors, especially there's a sequence where they're on a ship, and I noticed Kaya Scodelario, the sun was sort of beating on her hair and creating this
orange, yellowy glow just on her hair, and you could see every single strand, every follicle of her hair. It's just beautiful, beautiful transfer. I had a couple of issues with it. One of my subscribers actually commented recently on one of my posts asking about the soap opera effect on 4Ks. He was sort of worried that some 4Ks would sort of display a soap opera effect. Basically what this is when a movie looks too unnatural. It moves so smoothly that it's so unnatural to our eyes. We're used to seeing movies projected at a certain frame rate, and then when you put the frame rate up, everything moves a lot smoother, more naturally, but it doesn't look more natural to your eyes. This is the only 4K disc so far I have had any sort of problem with maybe things moving more smoothly than they should. It wasn't throughout the whole movie. There were just certain moments there where I noticed that things were just seemed a little unnatural. It seemed a little too fluid, I suppose. But again, it wasn't the whole film. It was just a couple of things, a couple of moments, and again, not a huge issue, but I just wanted to point that out for anyone that's sort of worried about that kind of thing. Is this a good uptick over the standard Blu-ray? Yes. Is it worth the extra $10 for it? For me, yes. I've got a decent enough setup to be able to view this kind of thing. I'm such a cinema geek that I sort of need the best quality that I can get, and I'm really happy with this. I'm super happy with this. I didn't expect any more of it. I think this is beautiful for what it is. But if you just want to go for the standard Blu-ray, you're not going to notice too much of a difference if you don't have a proper setup for 4K. It's not a huge improvement, but it is a nice uptick in detail. Now let's quickly talk about the 3D edition. What's the 3D like on this? The Pirates of the Caribbean movies traditionally have been very in your face, very punchy, very tongue-in-cheek when it comes to you're watching a movie. You're very well aware that you're watching a movie, and especially with this movie and Pirates of the Caribbean 4, which have been the only two that have been released in 3D, they make a point of letting you know you're watching a 3D movie. So these are the two movies that were basically made for 3D. Things flying out of the screen at you, swords being poked in your face, monkeys flying at you, all that kind of thing. This is a 3D experience. It's not the greatest 3D experience I've ever had. Again, I hate to go back to Guardians of the Galaxy again, but the 3D experiences on both of those movies were spectacular. This, not the best, but it's certainly a movie that is worth experiencing in 3D at least once. So that's those two releases right there, the 4K and the 3D. I hope I've given you sort of a brief rundown of the both of them. They both look really beautiful. The standard 1080 Blu-ray looks absolutely beautiful as well. If that's the way you want to go, just do that. Like, if you are thinking of in the future maybe moving into 4K, it's sort of worth buying the 4K disc because it comes with the 4K and the Blu-ray. So you can have the Blu-ray for now and you can have the 4K for later on if you want to just future-proof your collection. This one, nice fun experience. Look, if you're a big fan of the movie, I would personally buy both versions because both versions are two completely different experiences. But if you don't care so much about the 4K, go for the 3D. It's got both 3D and Blu-ray in there. You know, it's a no-brainer. The only problem is the 3D is only available in the UK, so if you're in the US, you might have to import. Talking about importing, if you do need to import either this one, all the discs on these releases are region-free. 3D discs region-free, the standard Blu-ray is region-free on both sets, and the 4K disc is region-free as well. This is the thing I really love about 4K discs is that it's industry standard not to lock 4K discs. This is across all studios, just an industry standard. These discs are not burnt within regions. So technically, all Blu-ray 4Ks are region free. I just love it because I can import whatever I want to my heart's content without having to worry about, is it going to play, is it not going to play? So anyway, go ahead, these are your options, and there's a standard Blu-ray or DVD if you're that way inclined as well. Now, previously on this channel, I have also reviewed, unboxed, did a little hunting video for this guy right here. This is the Pirates of the Caribbean Dead Men Tell No Tales Steelbook. I love it. One of the best steelbooks in my collection. If you want to have a proper look at that, I'm going to put a hyperlink at the end of the video and you can check out that past video that I did of this one. But for now, guys, that is the end of this video. If you're a first time viewer of my channel and you've liked what you've seen and you'd like to see some more of these videos, then please, after the jump, hit subscribe. To all my regular viewers out there, thank you once again for joining me. To absolutely everybody out there, I hope I'll see you again soon. Until next time though, guys, have a magical pirate day. That was the worst. Worst sign off ever. Calling it right now. Have a good one, guys.